every month, Cordisco's corner grocery store in Binghamton turns into a battleground.
There's some serious intensity.
In a colossal test of mental strength, at the first ever Scholastic Chess Tournament, students push each other to their wits' end.
It's pure mind competition. There's no more better competition than just your mind against someone else's.
Competing for an $80 prize and the title of Broome County Scholastic Champ, John Cordisco, who runs the tournament, says it's about bringing the game back.
You need some fresh blood. Us old guys, we need some young guys in here to bring up the competition level. And plus, on top of that, if you're looking for a long-term building the community, get the younger guys in here.
It's a game just about anyone can play. The former Binghamton City Council member hopes he can make chess popular among a broader audience in Binghamton.
See, I used to say this all the time when I was a councilman. Don't confuse intelligence with formal education.
Building a community around chess with each tournament, Cordisco expects that eventually his corner store will become an intellectual meeting ground. In Binghamton, Carmen Perez, YNN.
Well, here it is, folks, the first super tournament of the year, 2015, the 77th Tata Steel Chess Tournament. Great action, great tournament, great world-class players. Don't miss any of the action. And here are the standings after 11 rounds in the 77th edition of Tata Steel Chess, the Masters section. Magnus Carlsen from Norway, current world champion with 8. Wesley So, originally from the Philippines, now playing from the U.S., just a half a point behind. Maxime Vacher-Lagrave, Giri and Ding with 7. Ivanchuk, I like him a lot. Chess genius, interesting character. He has 6.5 as well as Caruana. Rajabov with 5.5. Wosecek, I believe it's pronounced, with 5. Aronian with 5. Hugh Fan, women's world champion with 4. Van Wheelie with 3.5. Sarek with 3. And Joe Bava, poor Joe Bava, 1.5. I got to say again, I'm not picking on 11 Aronian, but I'll tell you, it's tough. He's one of the best players in the world. I don't know what's happened the last year or so. He had an okay year last year, but ever since he didn't do that well in the candidates final, was the first when Magnus won on tiebreaks against Kramnik to beat Anand the first time. Something seems to come out of him. He's still a good guy. He's still a nice guy, but something happened. Hopefully he can recover. Anyway, folks, that's the standings after 11 rounds. 2 rounds to go. Hi, folks. John Cordisco back again. Another game in the 77th edition of Tata Steel Chess. This is the Masters section. This is round 12. It's a 13-round tournament. It's tightening up in the lead. This is a big game between Lorraine Ding from China is white and Magnus Carlsen from Norway, current world champion. Lorraine Ding's coming up. He's over 2,700. Anyway, folks, let's get to it. Ding is white, Carlsen is black. It's going to be a Queen's Gambit declined. We'll go through the opening a little bit here. Us amateur players aren't too big on theory, so I'll breeze through the opening a little bit. Castle E3. Interesting move. It keeps the bishop can come out, and then this bishop is outside the pawn chain. Bring the other bishop up. D takes, B takes. Now you see that a lot. When you move the bishop to D3, then black will take in the Queen's Gambit to make you move the bishop again. It doesn't want to give you a tempo. Bishop A6. Queen E2. Queen C8. Interesting. Bishop B7. Bishop takes. Queen C8 are the top 3 moves. They're all close in score. It's probably just a matter of taste. Carlsen, of course, being the world champion and highest rated player, knows what he's doing. Queen C8. White castles. C5. Open things up a little bit. Black's a little bit behind in development. It's about a 3/4 pawn advantage for white. My first computer's on off screen. Knight to B5. Interesting. What to do, what to do. Bring out your only undeveloped piece, of course. Knight to D7. Rook A to C1. Just going on the semi-open file. Queen to B7. Interesting. It cuts off the escape square for the bishop. D takes, knight takes. And b4, kicking the knight. For those you're wondering if going to knight to d4 instead, rook a to c8 pretty much takes care of that. After b4, knight moves up. Knight needs to escape. Then the other knight comes up. Rook a to c8. Now, we're on move 15. And I think Lorraine Ding from China has done very well for himself. I'm sure they're all in theory here. These guys are world-class players, but they're all in prep. But this knight looks really good here for Magnus. I'm not sure how good he's going to do. Not really hitting much, but aesthetically it looks great. a3, just to shore up that pawn. Interesting might have been the computer selection was f3. Then after bishop takes, knight takes. With over a point advantage, point and a quarter for white. After a3, knight comes up. I mean, look at all those minor pieces. Holy crow. I mean, look at this barrage of pieces right here. Wow. All 8 minor pieces are just in a big bunch there. How complicated is that to figure out? There's a ton of captures and recaptures, and oh boy. Bishop d3, hitting the knight. Bishop f6, interesting. Computer's choice. Meg decided to take the knight. If bishop had gone to f6, after bishop takes, queen to d3, bishop, queen takes, pretty much even game. But they went the other way, bishop takes, and now knight takes. Not as advisable is bishop takes, then knight comes over, queen to d3, knight takes, queen takes, bishop f6, rook takes, But a small advantage for black, almost a point. So, Lorraine Ding did the right thing. Knight takes f4, a pawn takes. So let's just pause here for a minute and just look at the position. There's been a lot of action going on. We're on move 19. I don't know. It shows about 2/3 of a pawn advantage for white, but I think the kid from China is white has done remarkably well. Of course, Magnus has the lead in the tournament, but he wants to win. Magnus always wants to win. So let's see how this turns out. Magnus brings his knight back to f6. Good spot for that knight. One thing I didn't notice before, we have opposite color bishops here. Now, granted, there's a lot of pieces on the board, but I want to keep that in mind just in case we get down to a boring opposite bishop endgame. f5. He's going for it. I like that move a lot. Pawn takes, bishop takes, rook takes. All right, we've got eliminated 2 rooks. Half-point advantage for white. I don't think Magnus likes his position very much. His queen's in a bad spot, babysitting the a7 pawn, and babysitting the bishop on e7. But there's not really what white can do to get in his position. But Magnus isn't the type of player just to hold a position to draw. So we'll see how this works out. See if he goes for it. a5, he wants to break up the pawns. Rook c7. Queen d5. Brings the bishop back to guard the knight. And the knight's guarding the rook. Bishop's guarding the queen. Everything's covered. This might have a minor problem, white, with a back rank problem, but not right now, he doesn't. Bishop d8. Bishop c4, hitting the queen. Queen goes to g5. Rook takes. He checks first. Queen f1. Queen takes. King takes, of course. Rook takes. And knight to d6. Well, that wasn't really a sacrifice. Tiny advantage for white, but I don't think Magnus likes this position very much. A takes. Knight takes. Instead of bishop takes, then after king f8, bishop a2, pawn takes. And I don't know if we can hold that. Be honest with you. Those connected passed pawns on the queen side will cause him grief. So it was a good choice to take with the knight instead. Bishop b7. Knight moves, discovered check. King moves, knight e6. King f7, knight c7 check. King g6. A takes, bishop takes. This is looking drawish here. Knight takes, bishop takes. Here we go. Opposite color bishops, equal pawns. And after bishop takes d5, they drew. I thought Lorene Ding played very well. I watched some of the video on livestream.com. And Magnus didn't look too happy. He wasn't losing by any means, but he didn't have any advantage at all. And it was white that was pressing. But anyway, it was a draw nonetheless. So there is a game from round 12 in the 77th edition of Tata Steel Chess Masters section. I hope you enjoyed it. I got to tell you, honestly, folks, I thank all of you, all my new subscribers and all my new viewers. The last month has been the best month I've ever had in viewership and new subscribers. And for that, I am very grateful. Thank you very much. And if you know any of your chess friends, please tell them about my channel. And as I always say, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.